Hello, everybody. Welcome to NJ Thrive Small Business Webinars. Today is Thursday, May 16th, and you are attending one of our weekly webinars created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. My name is Ozzie Lourenco. I'm a consultant here at NJSBDC, and that is America's New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. We are a network and a statewide program powered by the SBA, Small Business Administration, and partners like Rutgers University and NJBAC to help small businesses in New Jersey with three main things. And those things are no-cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, and exclusive small business resources. On the slide here, you'll see that there's a map that is, of course, the state of New Jersey, and with it, all the counties of New Jersey. You'll notice that on some counties, there are small little squares, and with some of them, there are small SBDC logos. That's where our 11 regional centers are located. So that's, and those 11 regional centers cover all the counties of New Jersey. Some cover more, some cover one, for example. And if you are ever interested in attending an in-person event, or just want to go in person for an appointment, go to njsbdc.com, find out where those locations are, and definitely check it out. All right, so while I go through this introduction, feel free to go in the chat box and let us know where you're from, what you do, who you are, what your small business is about, share anything that you like to with the rest of us, and feel free to network. All right, so what is on the agenda? We have a couple of headlines on the agenda, and those are usually just articles, press releases, things that are happening in the community that we like to share with you. Then we have our presentation from our speaker, of course, and Q&A. So these are the small business headlines of the week. There are 4. I will go through them very briefly, and all the links will be shared in the chat, so you can retrieve them from the chat box. All right, so the first is a press release from the SBA, and SBA is a great resource for you to keep in the loop, your weekly or bi-weekly loop of resources to check out for your small business. The first one says SBA announces funding awards to 3 organizations to provide women veteran entrepreneurship training program. This was published on the 10th of this month. And let's see, what are some main points that we can highlight? So SBA announced that $300,000 in funding for 3 organizations to deliver the training program to local veterans, honoring the service of over 2 million women veterans in the US by making sure that the support goes to those looking to start or grow a business. Let's see some other details. These are the links that are provided. Over 9,500 women veterans participated in the WVETPs during fiscal year 2023. And these are the 3 awardees that are mentioned. So Syracuse University, Institute for Veterans and Family, Military Family, ONABEN, and Utah Veteran Business Resource Center. And there are many links provided. So if you want to check anything out, go to this page specifically and go to those links. All right, so the second is from Morris County Chamber of Commerce, Women in Business Table Talk. This is an in-person event that is happening. It's actually a table talk luncheon happening on Friday, May 17th from 11 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, of course, Park Avenue Club, Thorne Park, New Jersey. And unfortunately, registration did close just yesterday, midnight Wednesday. After this time, register at this email address during business hours or at the event at the door, and the at the door tickets are that price. Pretty cool. One of the table hosts is our CEO and State Director, Kelly Brosna. So if you want to go meet all the wonderful women that will be table hosts and go talk to them, definitely check this out. All right, third is from NJBIA, New Jersey Business and Industry Association, also a great resource for small businesses to check out. Deadline for electric school bus grant applications is this Friday. Energy, and this is part of the energy environmental quality. All right, school districts that own their buses, school bus contractors provide busing services. face a May 17th deadline to apply for state grants to replace their diesel school buses with battery electric powered ones and purchase charging stations by 5 p.m. on Friday, May 17th. This is very niche, of course, but very cool. And if you know someone who is in this business, or if you yourself are in this business, definitely check that out. Now, fourth and last is from business.nj.gov. This is the official site of the state of New Jersey. And this is an update, recent regulations and resources. And it says New Jersey contractors tax exemption alert for affordable housing. Updated May 14th. Contractors buying materials for affordable housing can now claim a sales tax exemption. Use Form ST13 to certify tax-free and refund within 4 years. Questions, email that link over there. Pretty cool. All these links have been shared in the chat. Check them out. Some housekeeping rules to keep in mind for all of us. Type questions in the Q&A box. Anything that you put in the chat box will most likely get lost during Q&A time, just for any questions, concerns, things like that coming in, general things. So if you have any questions for the speaker while they're going through the presentation, put them in the Q&A box and we'll address them during the Q&A session. That is towards the end. If you complete a brief survey, you'll receive the slides that the presenter goes through. It's like a really quick Google form survey. You provide your feedback on what you liked, what you didn't like, excuse me. And once you submit, you'll receive the link to the slides. Webinar is being recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel as well as our video library. So I saw some responses coming in. Janitorial company. All right, Parsippany, New Jersey. Hello. Cliffside Park. Hello. Real estate agent. Would like to open LLC. Nice. Hello, everyone. RBM maintenance. All right, cool. Now let's just jump into our topic for today. And our speaker today is Ozzie Lourenco, who is one of our Capital Team Consultants. And this is part 2. Part 1 is available on our YouTube channel as well as our video library. So check it out if you haven't seen that one. And Fortifying Your Financial Future, Advanced Credit Management. Welcome, Ozzie. We love having you here. The stage is yours. Feel free to share your audio video and start sharing your screen.
Okay, I don't know what happened. Hold on one second, guys. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Yes, but I'm not sure why I'm not. Hold on, I think we're here. Yep, there we go. So welcome, everyone. I think Uzma did all the intros, so I'm going to skip that.
Sorry, Ozzie. You still have to share your screen here. And okay,
How's
your
that?
video's on.
Can you see it?
Share your screen. Yep, your video's on.
But you're not able to see my video yet.
Your screen.
Really? Sorry.
Yep, so just cancel everything and then start sharing your screen again.
No, apologies. I thought I hit share video. And still nothing. You can't see anything at all?
No.
Okay. Let me just get out. Hold on one second.
If it doesn't happen, then our webinar assistant can definitely go ahead and share their screen.
Do you mind doing that? Because I don't know what I'm doing wrong. In fact, now I lost my screen.
All right.
I'm so sorry, you guys.
Let's do that. Apologies, everyone. Technical difficulties, as you know.
Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Wait. I think I may have it. Where did it? I closed it by mistake, Usma. Hold on. Give me a sec, you guys. This old lady needs to get going and get this. Okay. I think it's better if we do it with Glory. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. Let's get this going. Now, apologies. I thought I had it ready, and obviously that's not the case. So, Gloria, if you don't mind, we can skip the opening. This is Fortifying Your Financial Future. Usma covered this already. And I think Usma covered who I am. Well, to give you a little background, I've been with the NJSBDC since about 2019. My skill sets vary. I came to know and assist with credit after taking a course and really learning that this was a much needed area. And here I am with you today. I've been doing this for a few years. And before I move forward, I really just want to thank you for your time, because And I know I start this the same way, and I'm going to keep doing it till you put me in the ground, because time is the one thing we cannot make more and we cannot get back. So choosing to be with us means so very much to us. So thank you. Okay, Gray, let's move forward. The objective of this course, and I want to say something, part of why I always recap is the hope for each of these webinars is that they can at some capacity stand alone. So I'm going to recap just a little bit about what credit history is. And when I say a little, it's a little. For those of you who attended the other one, this will just, kind of play with your memory a little bit so it comes back. The first steps to creating a healthy credit lifestyle. And then the bulk of this is really going to be what are the items that we need to create a more stable financial lifestyle so that I can foster a really good relationship with my money. And we're not going, and maybe this is a bad assumption, but the assumption is that we are all at the place where we are really trying to solidify this idea. I'm not bringing in $3, $4, $5 million a year. I'm really just building and creating stability for myself to get to where I need to be. So this is where we're targeting this. Next slide, please. So the idea, and I don't know why I started with this one, apologies. Oh, because this is here. Yes, I'm going to recap in a second. The idea today is to understand that when we are going to build a healthy financial lifestyle for ourselves, we have to really understand that, and if I repeat it at the end, I apologize, but this is super important. The purpose of money is to simply work for us. It's about the only relationship where that's going to happen. In other words, with your children, with your significant other, with a colleague, there's always a back and forth that you're creating, a give and a take. Money doesn't work that way. You are making the money, you are assessing this money so that it can work for whatever you need it to work for. And what that will translate to is, at least to me, is what will bring me some level of calm and peace in my life. And these are where the decisions will make with that money that I am working. And that money only has one purpose. It wants to work for you. So don't forget that, okay? Next slide, please. And now we're going to recap a little bit. We all talked about this idea of credit score and credit score versus what credit history is. So everyone's very quick to say, I'm 550, 560, I need help, I'm 650. But nobody remembers that that credit score comes from this credit history that we have been building, or maybe we don't have, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And what the credit history is saying, at least in the way that it relates to the lender, and I say this specifically because I am not my credit score. You are not your credit score. You're probably an awesome mom, an awesome brother, a wonderful teacher. Things happen in your life and something happened to your credit score. So we have to separate ourselves as a person from our credit score. But when it's time to borrow money or to borrow anything at that point, your lender is going to be looking at your credit history. They're not too concerned with what awesome mom you are. They just need to know that when they're going to lend to you, that there is minimal risk involved. And they're going to judge this on two of the 5 C's of lending, which is your character. And this is really where credit history rules, and your capacity. And capacity is going to be what I owe compared to what I have, what I'm bringing in. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. And this all lives in your credit report or your credit history. Next slide. In your credit history, what's being assessed is these components. What they're looking at is your payment history. And the payment history is top of the line because this is where you are showing, hey, I borrowed money from Capital One, and this is the manner in which I treated that borrowing contract. And this has to do with how much you paid and how on time you paid. The amount owed, they are using to see, remember when we talked about that capacity, about how much you owe compared to how much you make? So they're kind of looking to see what's still open, how much you actually owe and what's bringing in. The length of the credit history is a snapshot for them. So it plays a smaller role, but it plays a role because they need to know how long you have been able to maintain whatever it is that they're looking at, what's going on here. And new credit If you're looking for new credit, that's going to then affect your amount owed. So they need to look at that. And then the types of credit uses is a mix. Is it a mix of maybe, do you have 2 mortgages? Do you have 28 credit cards? So they need to know that because you're managing those two in a very different way. A mortgage is a set amount, the credit card fluctuates. So it's important for them to know how you're managing these differences. This pie, this entire combination is how they come up with that score. Okay, next slide, please. Credit score, and credit history. I think it's just a recapping. When you hear FICO, that's the same as credit score. We mentioned this already. Credit score is derived from credit history. So why is this so important? Well, I may not know exactly what's on my credit score that's affecting my credit history. So to do that, and here are your 3 credit reporting agencies right there, your Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You want to go specifically to this site, and you can find your credit score in different ways. You can also go individually into these and request it. But if you go through here, you get 1 per year that's completely free. So when you go in, you're going to decide which one you want to start with. And I think I mentioned this in the other one. My big suggestion is really to start with one at a time, because if you have to take a next step, there's a process and you don't want to really confuse it. A side note with Experian, try to do a nice little memory check, or remembering maybe where you lived, what loans you may have had, because that's how it authenticates you. Equifax and TransUnion, you do a much simpler process of using your phone, but Experian will ask you questions. And if you don't get it, then you have to go through another process to get the credit report. So remember again, why is it important for me to get the credit report? Well, because the credit report will show me my credit history. It will show me exactly what is affecting my credit score. Next slide, please. So going back to if I have to take a next step. If you have to take the next step, what you're really reviewing first and foremost is to make sure that everything is correct. If it is not correct, you're going to reach out to your credit reporting agency and say, hey guys, I don't really remember being late 3 times. Can you check in? It is their job to make sure that they check that and get back to you in 30 days. So this is super important stuff. And then what happens? And I can't go step by step, but what happens is if something is off, you're going to go straight. In other words, if they said, no, we absolutely know that this is correct, we checked with the creditor, you're going to have to start negotiating directly with the creditor. And in that process, what you want to make sure is to be detailed. Keep information about who you spoke to, when you spoke to, maybe request an email follow-up so you have a connection, record every piece of information, because this process could take a little longer where you're moving to a different person and a different person. So if in the follow-up, you get what you're looking for, which is to remove some negative information, or maybe what you felt is erroneous information, great, this is what you want, it's a happy dance. If it's not, you're going to keep trying. You're going to keep looking for a higher person in that list until you finally realize, okay, it's not going to happen. But typically, I hope I'm not sounding negative, because that's not what I mean. It's a process and you've got to be diligent. And typically a credit card company, if right now you're in a good place with them, wants to keep you as a client. So if you find the right person, you potentially increase your chances of having that information removed. Next slide, please. So now you've checked the things that were wrong, you disputed the things that needed to be negotiated because they didn't come right off. You did that, and now what? Well, now it's going to depend on your present goal. And I say present because we are all in a very different spot. If I am someone that either has, maybe I'm looking for new types of credit to help increase my score, I want to do a few things first. I want to know if I'm seeking new credit, why it is that I'm seeking new credit. And as an example, let's say that I'm seeking new credit because I want to transfer a credit card so that I don't pay any interest for a year. Be careful with that, because it could already automatically drop your score. So more than going into new credit, why don't you ask yourself the top questions? Am I paying my present credit cards on time? And am I paying enough? And are there any hard inquiries? And a hard inquiry is maybe I was curious about something and reached out to a credit card company and they automatically went and ran a hard inquiry. Now that's affecting my credit. What you want to do is always ask, hey, for me to get this loan or to get, and it's always a loan. Credit card is always a type of loan. You're just paying it back in installments. So I should say it's a business line, but ultimately it's all a loan. And are you going to run a hard inquiry? Because you want to be thinking, if I'm already at a score that I'm not comfortable with, running a hard inquiry is going to already drop it. Whereas if I go in and start paying on time and maybe pay more than what's just the minimum, that's already going to start increasing my score so that when I decide, okay, now it's a good time to swap to a different card, now I've increased my chances of getting that card. I'm going to go to the next slide. If your credit history is too short, oh, I'm sorry, Gloria, go back one. Thank you, I'm sorry. If your credit history is too short or non-existent, there are things that you can look into that will absolutely help you. You can look into a secure card and really do a lot of research on this because there's so many different cards out there. Some of them have cashback, some of them have yearly fees, others do not. So don't just go, okay, here's the it. I don't recall if I put it on the slide, but we can talk later about them. You can consider a credit builder loan, which is a sort of a backward loan. And what this means to you is that you're going to apply, you're going to pay for, let's assume it's a $300 one. You're going to pay for the $300. And once you are done, now you get the $300. But those payments have now live in your credit history. And that's why that's important. Some credit building programs, one of the more obvious one is by Experian. And in there, I can take, for example, my cell payments and I connect it into their platform. And now my payments that I'm making every single month now become part of my credit history. Okay, another one that, and I'm always cautious with this one, but if you know someone who has really good credit, maybe mom, maybe dad, maybe an older brother, sister, aunt, just ask, you don't want a card, you don't want a credit card. Ask if they don't mind adding you as an authorized user. At this point, you get all the benefits of their healthy credit lifestyle and it helps increase your score, but you're not spending any of their money. You don't want the card. You just want to live as an authorized user. Okay, Gloria, next slide. Okay, and I think this is where I was just going to get into more detailed. And the secured credit cards, Discovered has one, SoFi I think has one. And what they're doing for you is they say, look, we don't want to take too much of a chance for you, but we're going to give you a balance of, a line of maybe $500, $300. They're all a little bit different. Some of them say you put in the amount, you put in the $200, $300, and we're going to keep track. And at a certain point, if you have repaid on your own, then we're going to go in and maybe add another $300 to that. So now you have $600. They're taking a regular chance on you. And at that point, they will transfer it into a non-secured credit card. Other ones will automatically match in the very beginning. You put 200, they put 200. That means that the risk for them is only 200. And those also have a part of, they can become a non-secured credit card. Oh, I mentioned Experian Boost, and that's what it is. I tend to be very transitional. When I have more control, I remember, I apologize. So Experian Boost is a wonderful product because if you, for example, have internet or streaming, you can add that. Utilities. So many of us are paying utilities. That gets on in your telephone. So things that you don't have in a credit card, but are paying on anyway, you can add to this program. And now without even getting a secured credit card, without even getting a loan, I can now start building some credit history. It's a different type of usage. My usage won't be as mixed, but that does not matter because I'm building the history to then go out for a credit card. And of course, I mentioned the authorized user. If I'm trying to increase my score, and I had a few clients that it was worked really beautifully for just in the past few months, first and foremost is pay on time. Nothing hurts your credit as badly as being late. Not to mention that now you have the late fee tagged on, now you owe more, so it just becomes catastrophic. A good suggestion would be, and I know we all have life happening, by the way, because believe it or not, it happened to me twice last year. I didn't follow my own rule. Pay the day before it's actually due. And that's because depending on where that bank's location actually is, you know, if the timing is off and you paid at 6 o'clock, their workday ended at 5 and now you're late. So a great guideline is pay the day, at least the day before it's due. Never go over 30% usage. Why is this so important? Because that's how, once you go over that 30%, that's putting you at a risk. So if my limit is 1,000, I can use the 1,000, but I want to pay back enough so that I only have about $300 left to pay so that it fits into my, I did not go over the 30% usage. Mix up your credit types, and we talked about this briefly before, you know, by having my builder loan if I have no credit and my credit card and the boost, now I have a very, very nice mix. If you don't have a mortgage, that gets a little bit tougher to do. But then if you finish school and now you're paying on your school loan, now you're showing that you have regular installment payments. And this one, I'm sure most of us know this already. When I get into that 700, I'm in a really comfortable place. 600 is great still for loan. You know, the late 600s to late mid 700s, late 700s is always a really great place to be. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now we recap. They're like, all right, did everything you told me to. I did the, you know, I'm working on my 30%. I'm paying on time. I'm going to talk about something that's really not exciting at all for a second. And I think I broke them down one by one, but this is the list. You need to have a budget. You need to adjust that budget, because if I did an original budget and I noticed that something is off, or maybe my part-time job that I didn't have, I no longer have, I need to go in. It can't be just a one-time budget and it disappears. And the goals that you set need to work with a budget. And I know this seems very simplistic, maybe even very redundant because you've heard someone else say it, but, and I think I'm going to get into this, but if a business sets itself up to succeed, it has a budget. It doesn't just go, well, let's just wing it. Let's see what's going to happen. It has a budget. So you need to start running your personal affairs in the way that a business runs its. Don't needlessly spend. I'm sure you've heard this, and I'm sure, again, it's very simplistic, but if you go out there, and I think I'm going to get into this, but let us say that I'm buying breakfast every day. Is there a need? Is there a need to buy breakfast every day? And we're all in different places, so I'm very careful about this. I don't know where everyone is in their spot. But if I'm turning to someone and I am saying, and without a budget, I don't have 10 cents to save every month, but I am clearly buying breakfast every day, I have not looked at my finances. I have not been realistic because I am needlessly spending if I don't have 10 cents to pay. Apply other strategies, and we're going to get into them. As you can see, I've laid them out. Maybe some small investments, some cash deposits, some high yield accounts. So let's look into them one by one now. Okay, so remember where we're at. Where I did all the other stuff. I'm already paying on time. Make sure to stay under my 30%. Have a nice credit mix. If you've done that, you have already seen, if you've done it at least 3 months, you've already seen your score go up. These are just the other things I'm going to do to start to feel a little more financially comfortable. Okay, next slide. Business budget. Okay, some of you are in fact business owners, and I mentioned before, you're going to need one. So I thought it was important to just see that there's similarities, different language, financial planning and resource out. And this was all meant to have points. For whatever reason, it wasn't happening and I gave up. So they're each specific points. Financial planning, you know, where are my finances going to go? Resource allocation, where am I going to get, you know, what are the things that I'm going to need? I'm trying to think of a specific company. if I'm going to need software company, I'm going to need software developments. What is the amount I'm going to need for that? My expenses, all of this is being controlled by your budget. My performance evaluation, my decision making, my cash flow. And decision making could be, am I going to let go of this guy? I'm going to hire a new guy. Cash flow management, goal setting, and communication accountability are all directly related to your business budget. And businesses, depending on size, could be a little more complicated. So if I don't have someone set for that, I'm in trouble. The very same goes for my personal budget. The difference between the business budget is I have to decide, am I going to be that person to do it, or do I need to really source out someone who's able to do it? On the personal end, I don't have a choice as to who's going to do the financial planning or control the spending. It's got to be me. So when you start to think, and I want to focus a little on personal, because when we started this whole idea of the credit class to increase the credit score on the personal level, so that when my startup wants to go out for funding and they look into my personal finances, they are clean, they are healthy. So it's really important to me, for those of you who are on the personal side, to understand that without these key points, you did not reach that level of financial comfort. And that means that I have planned where my finances are going. I have figured out how to control my spending. I have figured out how to manage my debt. I have figured out how to create a savings and maybe even an investment, which is just a larger scale savings. I have figured out how to create an emergency fund for myself. And I want to pause on emergency fund. And I'll be honest, it's been so crazy. I don't remember what the next slide is that I prepared. But emergency preparedness means, and I have a client whom I have a friend who is not a client, business owner, and I have a client. A client is prepared on a personal level to be able to survive if he has to shut down his business for an entire year. He does not need his business to survive. So he has separated that. That means that every single expense, and I did not ask, do you have a luxury there? I don't know what that means. He can survive if he has to shut down the business. A personal budget does something awesome. It allows me to be financially aware, which allows me to do all these other things. It allows me to set futures. Futures doesn't mean goal for a future. And this is the beauty, and this is the important one. Financial stability. One of the key problems in our society, in fact, I read somewhere, one of the primary reasons for divorce is actually money problems, financial instability. Financial stability is not about just being so comfortable you can overspend. It's about no longer worry, because you know where everything is going and where you have to adjust. Okay. I did want to tell you on the emergency preparedness. I have a friend, not a client, who owns 3 restaurants. When COVID came, he did not take out a single one of the loans of the PPP, nothing, because he had put money aside for the business. He kept paying all his employees from that money. Now, someone can argue, why not take out the loan? He didn't feel like he needed to have to worry about all the process that went on. He knew he was okay, and that money was not for anything else. That money was not for profit. That money was in his budget category as emergency. So arguably, was it a loss to him? No, it was not part of his profit. He separated that as an emergency. Next slide, please. I guess this was the point that I was trying to make before. Often, and all of you out there are either working for a business or working on your own business. My hope is that these are the things that you're thinking about. My hope is that you have, in fact, created a budget for the business. If you notice all the things that I'm going to have to tackle. But the point of this is, if a business needs a budget to be able to manage their finances, maybe plan for growth, control its size, understand the industry, it needs it with a budget. Why aren't you doing the same thing? The budget, and this is, I love the second part of this, the budget creates and I'm going to say something else afterwards. It creates structure for your personal life, creates discipline for your personal life, a word that we don't often like, and creates directions for your financial life. And although I'm talking about a business, it does it for you. I also want to note that in a way, you have already been budgeting. You budget your time every single day, right? Those of you who have parents, you have to budget how much time I will need to get so and so into school, how much time I will need to make dinner, how much time I won't have to make dinner. So I've already thought in my mind to go to so and so place. Whether you know it or not, time budgeting is a type of budgeting. You are already budgeting. Why you should not make the effort to create a budget to increase your financial stability is something that I would have to question. So if you really start to treat your household the way you would your business, you're going to be very clear about managing your finances. You're going to be very clear about setting goals in your life. Not just I hope. You're going to set them. And because you set a budget, you're going to meet them. And you're going to be very clear about securing your financial future. So let's do this one more time. A budget is going to provide for you clarity, control, and direction in your financial life. And then it's going to empower you to make smarter decisions that will lead to living the life that you really want. So as much as it doesn't sound exciting, and I didn't have time. I had a template, but I didn't have time to add it um, to this slide. But after I'm done, I can go ahead and add it so that if you do in fact answer the survey and want the slides, the template will be there for you. So let's move forward. Glory, sorry, I was ready to hit enter. So if you remember that second point, it was indulgence. And indulgence is a funny word because we often consider indulgent as one of our needs, and it is not. It's a luxury. So indulgence is anything that provides us pleasure. And I didn't like that. I took this definition. I don't always necessarily think it's an excess or without restraint, but maybe it is. And I'll use that example again. And I'm going to go with the word luxury now for a second. It may not seem like a luxury to go to McDonald's. And I did a little soul searching there for the New Jersey households that spend the 4,918 dining out per year, 94.59 per week. So I said, is that even possible? So I did a little research on prices, and I found out that at McDonald's, a bacon, egg, and cheese is $3.99, and a premium roast coffee, want to say I went with a small, is $1.49. I multiply that by 5 times, and I'm going to work, and I go in, whoops, and I forgot a comma, and it was $27.40. Still does not sound like a lot. And then I multiplied that, apologies, I forgot a comma after the 40. I multiply that by 52. So that means in this itty bitty little breakfast, I spent $1,424.80. But I told my friend that I just don't have 10 cents to save. And then because I'm in a rush, I don't make lunch. And I also try to not spend too much on lunch. So I go to, this was from Subway, and I bought a sweet onion teriyaki and a water. And I have to move this a little because the water, which is crazy to me, was $3.99, and my teriyaki was $10.69. It's only $13. $13 is not a lot at all. Buy 5, now it's starting to get a little hefty, is $68.85. Because, and I use hefty because if I think, well, I want to buy a sweater, it's at $68.85, and I think to myself, I may wait to see if it goes on sale. So $68.85 is already going up there. And by 52 weeks, I now on this itty bitty little lunch have spent $3,580. So these two guys cost me $5,000. They weren't a lot. When I look at the individual price, they did not cost a lot. And again, every one of us is in a different place. If I am telling someone that I can't save, I can't seem to save, maybe having created a budget and seeing where my money is going would have helped me to realize, wait, I need to go to ShopRite and go to the manager special and buy those, I forget how much they are, 6 bagels for $3. And I need to eat a bagel for a week and now just start cutting down. And I don't have to make humongous changes. I have to make just small little changes, but I'm only going to know where to make them if I have my budget. Okay, Gloria, next one. Okay, I think the next point was, hey, let's start thinking about ways that I can save. And when I say save, again, I'm putting myself in a position where I don't have a whole lot to put out there. But if I have a little bit, and they're all different, I tried to give you just a quick snapshot. There are many CDs out there. The downside for the CD is that you've got to lock it in. Once you put that money in there, you've got to lock it in. But I don't, if you notice, Capital One and MBO Alto don't have a minimum deposit. So I could put 100 if that's all I have. So now you may say to me, well, Ozzie, I don't even have 100 to put. I think I'm going to argue that point, that the first step is to do a budget and see where you're going to cut out so that you can get to the 100. So in 3 or 4 months, I now have 100 to put. I stick it in my 1-year CD and I get 5% back. It's not much. It is not much. But I did not touch that money. I did not feel it. And I gained something back for doing nothing. I dump it in again and I do it all over. Another thing that you can do is to start considering, I'm sure a lot of you have a savings account and have very little in it because it's like what, 0 point something % on your savings account. Start taking that out of there. Start looking into high yield savings account. These are a little bit easier because they tend to be able to withdraw the money. I gave you a few. There is a bunch of them. You don't have to stay with this. I just wanted to kind of get you started and getting you excited so that you realize your money can start to grow with you doing nothing. You're not going to be rich overnight, but if you are not touching it, it's growing at a comfort zone that you're going to enjoy. And there's also nothing wrong, by the way, with using different financial advisors. For example, the one that I have is Primerica, and they do, and I have different, I diverse a little bit, but what I like about using a financial advisor is that they invest for me so that I'm going to talk about investment in a second based on my age and my goals. So that's something, a lot of them don't charge anything to do it. Something to look into too. And I don't know that I mentioned that, but I did want to put that on the side because you don't have to do everything yourself. And a lot of these guys like Betterment also has a financial advising section to it. So these are all different products that you're looking at. And that's why they're trying to compete with each other. They, much like you with your clients, they are trying to get your business. Next slide, please. I just want to see if I mentioned financial advisors. Yes. Another interesting thing that you can do is, so I don't have money to go off and buy real estate as an investment. There are different types of real estate investment platforms that you can invest in. And what they do is they do have a minimum. Their minimums are different, but they give you monthly dividends and you don't have to cash them in. They just keep growing. And all they're doing is taking whatever you gave them. And unless you tell them where to put it, they're going to diversify it into different real estate projects across the country, some of them even the world. So you want to look into them. I just gave you some examples. Again, you don't have to go this route, but what I'm trying to instill in you is that I don't need so much money to start creating some kind of level of comfort where I can have financial stability. I first need to create that budget to know where I'm going. If you want to invest a little bit less, there are different electronic trading investment platforms that you can do. You can manage yourself. I learned about these through an investment class. But again, investment is not my expertise. I don't necessarily enjoy it, but it's something that if you're willing to do a little bit of research, and Robinhood puts out their little snacks. I know because I happen to use Robinhood, so that they give you an idea of what's going on in the world. Reading the finance section tells you who's selling who upset who, and you're going to have an idea of what's moving up. This may be a great avenue for you if you do want to learn just a little bit on your own and you don't have a whole lot to invest. You're just wetting your feet and you don't want to be overwhelmed. So there are many different avenues. The point is, I don't need to have $10,000, $20,000 to dump, because maybe I'm at a point where what I'm trying to do is grow into that $10,000. Once I have it, now I'm going to put it somewhere else to get more gains, okay? And if you're not sure and you're not comfortable, again, using a financial advisor is a great idea to really help you decide what you're going to do. Next slide, please. Begin to work on your mindset. I think we had one time a speaker who was absolutely wonderful, because often where we are has a great deal to do with culturally where we have been or what we have learned. And I think you have to start visualizing yourself where you want to be. Forget society. This has zero to do with society. This has to do with where you want to be. And you have to start understanding that you can be there. But in order to get there, you have to not just become self-aware, you have to really know. And self-awareness means that I got to know where I'm at. I've got to know what have been my struggles or my challenges. For example, I don't love that, but I know someone who loves brand names, loves them, just loves that whole idea of branding. If this person is trying to get to a solid place, that self-awareness has to say, is about deep thinking. Why do I love brand names? And where is my compromise? What is my value system? Once you get the self-awareness, you have to really realize that there's going to be an effort involved in attempting to reach the goal that you're doing. Nothing happens. Well, let me rephrase that. Nothing that is sustainable happens overnight. Even if you're not sure about that, imagine how long it took the world to be created. Imagine how long it takes, a little sapling to grow into a tree. Imagine how long it takes a baby to grow in a stomach into a full functioning human. So yeah, some things happen overnight, I guess. So somebody buys your gift, dumps it in the front, but nothing that is sustainable will happen overnight. So you have to remember that there's an effort involved in all of this. And the intentional practice is really about constantly doing something with an intent. What I mean by that is I've got to get into the habit of, when I feel like, oh, I just don't want to make my sandwich, I'm just going to go and get something, pause, be intentional, practice and say, will this sandwich help you meet your goal? Is it going to affect your budget? And when I talk about budget, by the way, now I'm going backwards for a second. In my budget, I have a miscellaneous, and I have a miscellaneous because I do have a tangential personality. And by that, I mean, I could just be somewhere and this soap caught my attention and I want to buy it, but it's not in my grocery part. I can take out of that bucket of miscellaneous. So I know my personality enough to know that it's going to happen. I don't want to screw up my budget. So the intentional practice is about practicing the things that you have said are important to you and pausing. There's got to be intent in that, going back to that self-awareness, going back to where my goal is and practicing the necessary steps to get there. Be intentional about it. Why am I sitting here reviewing my budget? Because I have a goal. I have a goal, and that goal is to whatever it may be. So I'm careful with mindset because I don't know where we're all coming from, but there is a mindset that we have right now. And that mindset often has to do not just with culture, but with our own neural divergencies. And unless we are aware of them, unless we are intentional about where our goal is going to be, and unless we are intentional about our effort, you're probably not going to get to your goals. So the idea of reaching financial comfort, financial peace, and I want to equate that with personal peace, is really about creating that mindset. We often want an easy fix, and the easy fix is, just tell me what to do. I just want to know, and I'll go in there and I'll dump this. There is no easy fix. And I'm sorry if that is not the answer you're looking for, but if I told you that there is, then I would be lying, and that's not my cup of tea. So I think what you want to consider in this journey, and I know you're going to get started or maybe have already started the journey, is to be patient with the journey, to be 100% intentional about what you need to do and what your goal is, and to be unwavering. And that means that unwavering part, at least for me, it means know my personality, because I don't want to stop. I want to continue. So give myself that space to be me and by myself when I want to, or whatever Well, next slide. But this was an important one that's not super exciting. I think we're almost, yep, I think we're almost at the end. And I think for me, this one was a little shorter due to lack of time and I didn't want to overdo it. But for those of you who don't know the NJSBDC, and Usma mentioned it, we offer one-on-one business counseling in all things business related, even if it's, for example, credit for the business and you want to talk to someone. But it's not just credit. Today happens to be about credit. We offer counseling on, listen, what do I need to try to get funding? We offer counseling, believe it or not, I'm really stuck. I have this idea and I need to bounce it off of someone because I'm missing someone. Hey, what are the marketing techniques that I can use? So I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but there's so many things business related that I think that what we do and we do best is that we are your silent partner almost. We're the person that's going to really help you get to the next level. And it's because we say what we mean and we mean what we say. So it's not just about credit, it's about so many other things. I also believe that Ms. Usma mentioned the survey. Here it is. You're going to get that survey. I think she's probably going to put it in the chat. Once you answer it, they will send you a slide. I'm going to remember to add the budget template to the slide so that you already have that. And one last thing, I apologize. You want to remember that your budget should change with your life. So if you lost your job, your budget needs to be readjusted. And I hope that's not the case. Or if you're opening a business and you're working with limited resources, your budget needs to be. So much like a business plan, your budget needs to be revisited regularly. And I think that is it. And in a way, I'm kind of glad we ended a little bit earlier because I have a client after this. So I don't have too much time. Does anyone have any questions or anything?
We can definitely jump into questions, Ozzie.
Okay.
Let's go over them. And I usually do my reminders right before the Q&A session, but Ozzie did that for me.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Shoot me.
No. Thank you. So we can jump right into the questions.
Okay.
All right. So we'll go through them. I know Gloria has a hard stop at 1 and you have a client.
Yes.
So let's go to a question from Fernando. About credit monitor system for free versus NAV or DUNS, which would be the best? Do I have to provide them all my financial info?
Well, your business credit, I think there's one agency that will collect it, but the business credit is typically collected by the other ones. So it is worth your time to have accounts with them because they're the ones that are keeping track of that. So the other CRMs are more, I'm trying to remember, and I apologize that I forget. I don't know if it's Experian. One of them will connect business, but the NAV and the DUNS are the ones that you want to have for business.
Got it. Next question is from Sanam, who says, if we do consolidate, does that hurt our credit history?
So when you are consolidating, what you're telling me is that you've taken all your debt, you put it into one, and now you're making payments. That should not affect your credit history because what you're actually doing now is what you were not doing before. All this company does is negotiate on your behalf. And then once that's all done, contractually, they have to remove whatever the contract was. I don't know which way you've consolidated, you know, what the contractual parts are, but no, it should not hurt your credit score.
Got it. Next question is, can you tell me if we have debt in our credit card, how do we resolve?
I want to make sure. So this person has credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the first thing you want to consider is this debt manageable? You know, to what capacity? One thing you may start to do is reach out to the credit card company and say, listen, I've reached a point where I'm having difficulty managing the debt. So I need to set up a new payment plan with you. This is that negotiation process. I want to pay you back. I want to meet my contractual obligation. I've just lost my job or my daughter went to college. So what can we work with? There's also other organizations that can help you with that. But before you go, because now you're going to be paying, before you do that, reach out to the credit card company first and foremost. You would be surprised It's not going to necessarily help your credit score because now you have a different installment payment, but you'd be surprised that they may be able to work with you. So first and foremost, reach out to your credit card company, explain the situation, and see in which way they're willing to work with you. I think, can I just say something? We often don't forget that a credit card company is a product and they do want your business. And they're actually making nice money from your debt, but they also want to keep you as a good client because you're going to go out and say, oh my gosh, so-and-so was wonderful. They worked with me. So don't be afraid to reach out because there is a partnership that is involved there.
Next question. By the way, Ozzie, you have lots of comments such as excellent presentation, great job. Thank you
Thank you
so much.
guys. I appreciate it because
So
it's been fast and furious this morning. I was stuck on the parkway getting to my first it was a rough morning. So those
very many
comments mean
comments
more
like
to
that.
me than you
Yep.
even know.
Yep. You're all very welcome and thank you all for attending. We'll go through these questions again really quickly. And if we cannot get to them, apologies, but you can definitely request counseling from us and request Ozzie and we'll get to you. All right. Evans asks, do other assets like stocks and house properties affect positively to your credit?
Not to your credit. So we're talking about credit in the way that it appears in your credit history. In other words, this is something I own, correct? I already own it. That's not going to show up. Now, if I'm making payments on, I don't know if there was a mortgage involved there. I apologize. I hear assets. When I think assets, they're already mine. They're done. I paid for. That's not affecting your credit history, but it is going to affect your capacity because the lender is going to be using that as part of your capacity to repay. So no, it's not affecting your credit history, but it is going to affect your capacity.
Got it. Next question is from Richard. Does balance transfer, such as avoiding higher interest, hurt the credit?
No, a balance transfer is what you want to do. What's going to, well, you want to do it if you're transferring it for better terms, right? I want to transfer it to a place where I don't have interest for X number of months, whatever the case may be. What may hurt your credit score is going to be applying for that actual credit card because they're going to do a hard inquiry. And they could potentially deny you, but the transfer in of itself is not going to affect you negatively.
Got it. Next question. There is a little somewhat of a lengthy question there. Sorry, but I'm gonna avoid answering that or putting that out
Please reach
there.
out to us, person
Yeah,
with
please reach out to
question.
us. Just in the interest of everyone's time, please reach out to us. Next question. Do you have instructions of how to close out access to the 3 credit bureaus?
I'm not sure. So you do not want the credit bureaus to have your information.
Access, I think. Yeah.
The problem with that is as long as you have credit,
Yep.
the lenders are reporting. So the only way for you to really close access is to decide that you want to live a cash life.
Mhm.
So the reason they do this is because the lenders are protecting themselves from any risk. So yeah, you could do this, but now at this point, you'd want to close out all your credit cards and don't open up any new ones, any mortgages that you may have, finish them off, pay everything. I years ago, not anymore, I had a client who paid everything in cash. I don't know what he's doing now. I have no idea, but he bought his house and his first truck in cash. I'm sure he didn't have much credit going on. So yeah, you could do it, but you'd have to close out everything and start a full credit-free life.
All right, thank you. Okay, they just followed up. They're talking about someone running a CC bureau without their knowledge.
I'm not sure I understand it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand either.
Can this person, can you possibly reach out to Usma just later? Because I apologize, you guys, it's 1 o'clock and I'm not trying, typically I hang out, I stay, but it's a bad day today. So
Yeah,
maybe you can reach out to Usma and just double
Yep.
check. Okay, all
We'll
right.
just take one more question.
Okay.
Can you recommend a good business credit card?
Off the top of my head, it would be like you asking me what I'm gonna have for dinner. I have no idea. But what is to me, what I consider a good business card is you know, the APR now is going to be about the same, but if you can give me some cash back, that's wonderful because I'm already using the card. And the way I see cash back is regardless, I was going to do this. You're paying me to do something that I'm already going to do. So let's say at the end of the year, you've got $500 sitting there. You can decide to either invest that $500 or use it to pay part of that month. So for me, the best business card is the one that's giving me something back.
Gotcha. All right. And it's all very personal. So we'll stop our Q&A there. Ozzie, feel free to exit the webinar.
Okay, thank
I
you
will.
so much. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here.
Bye,
And,
Ozzie.
and Glory, thank you for being my slide changer. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to do these things.
Thank you. All right, so let me just share with everyone some questions I can answer for the ones that are, wow, the big screen really blew up. I can answer the how to get access to Ozzie, things like that. Let me just open up our website and I can show everyone where to go. So back on Zoom and share screen. Okay, so usually for our startup webinars and things like that, we have a specific link. For this, if you'd like to speak to Ozzie, please go to njsbdc.com. And the first thing that you'll see on the page is, you know, a request counseling button, red hot button right there. You put in your email, you select the county that you're from in New Jersey, and you request counseling. It will come, it will take you to a different, well, I didn't put in my information, but it will take you to a different page where you go through a little registration process. Put in there that you'd like to speak to Ozzie for credit counseling. If you obviously have something else, such as like you want help with your business plan or anything, that would be very vague and general and broad. But if you'd like to speak to Ozzie, put in the fact that you are looking for assistance with credit counseling. While we're on here, so that's how you get your one-on-one with Ozzie. Let's see. So the presentation will be shared once you do your survey. So that's how you get access to the slides. If you'd like to know anything that is happening, upcoming things that are happening, go to our website. But before I show the event schedule, we have blog posts, we have podcasts. We do have a new business show coming up as well. Stay tuned. Of course, testimonials over here. We also have something called over here when you go, a toolkit. Let me just quickly show that as well. A lot of people don't know about this, but this is where we have basically a lot of the federal, state, SBA, local resources available, whether it's our tech team, specialty team, incubators, CDs and things like that. All of those, they're here, stored here, so go in and check them out. Now, if you want to check out our event schedule, go to events and go to statewide events. Once you go here, if you remember the map that I mentioned very early in the beginning of my workshop, beginning of this webinar, this is where all 11 centers as well as our state office share the events and workshops that are happening. So whether they're in person or online, it will tell you the location as well. Whether it's free or it has a bit of a fee, then it will tell you that as well. We also provide workshops and events in Spanish, so keep an eye out for those. We also provide counseling in Spanish. You just have to let us know, and we'll connect you with someone who speaks Spanish. One more thing quickly before we all have to go, webinars. This is our video library that we're always mentioning. So whether you go to our YouTube channel and just put in NJSBDC or you go to this page, this is our video library. This webinar that's being recorded will be available on this site in 1 to 2 business days. But the part 1 that we were mentioning that Ozzie did earlier, it is also stored here. You just have to go through, look over here, and you'll find it. I don't at the moment remember exactly when it was, so I don't know when exactly how much you have to scroll past, but it is over here somewhere. And we have a lot of topics such as you know, how to register your business or resources with the SBA or NJEDA, Google Maps enhancement, things like that. All right, so that's pretty much it from me. We've done these webinar Q&A. Now upcoming webinars on Tuesday, May 21st, session 26 of our How to Empower Your NJ Startup. This is a series that we've been doing since November of last year with our startup consultant, Vanessa Schwartz. So if you are already an existing business, then you don't need to attend this, but if you know a family or friend who wants to start their business, then definitely refer this webinar to them and tell them to register. All right, so that is it from us. NJSBDC has helped 15,000 plus small businesses grow. No-cost small business consulting, trainings, and events that you attended as this one, and exclusive small business resources. Thank you so much for taking out your time on a Thursday afternoon to join us, and we hope that you join us for many more. Take care and have a good day. Bye.